Hi, boys and girls. We are back, baby. In today's episode, Phil joins Tiger in missing the Masters. The women's Final Four is set to start in 90 minutes. And Jay Billis joins us for a breakdown of the men's semis. But we begin today with the Oklahoma City Thunder answering all questions about how much of a challenge the Lakers posed to them by beating the Lakers last night by 43 points, 139-96. In that game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and just 1 turnover in 30 minutes on the court. And in that game, Luka Doncic went out in the third quarter with a bad hamstring. And in his 26 minutes, Doncic had just 12 points on 3 of 10 shooting and 6 turnovers. Wilbon, what does this game say about the Thunder, and where does it leave the Lakers?
Well, it said about the Thunder exactly what we knew it would say. They're the champs, and they got tired of a little gnat buzzing around their heads, and that gnat happens to be sort of treated royally in most quarters, the Los Angeles Lakers, and deservedly so. And it says about the Lakers, Tony, it's not the loss that's bad enough, and that would say something. But Luka pulling up lame on that hammy with a week to go in the regular season, so 2 weeks to go before the playoffs, that's bad. Even with, LeBron James in a role that he can expand or contract or do anything he can, and he does because he's LeBron James, it's still Luka, who's the player of the month of August, Luka, who's appearing on everybody or most people's top of the MVP list the last few weeks. No Luka, or Luka limping around the Lakers wouldn't struggle anyway against OKC, San Antonio, Denver, maybe even Houston and Minnesota. And now this, but about the champs, it said, we're tired of this. We'll guard whoever you put out there, however great they are, whatever they're called, whatever category. We got waves of them. Bring them on.
Yeah, my inclination initially is to look at a game like this with a 43-point spread, just a beatdown, and say that where it leaves the Lakers is at the side of the road waiting for the AAA truck to show up. But, I mean, let me also add this, because I don't want to be too hasty here. The Lakers get to play Oklahoma City next Tuesday in Los Angeles.
In
if
LA.
they were to win that game, that negates a lot of these impressions. If they were to play very well and Luka was healthy and played very well, then every conversation is back on the table, including MVP. But it is also true that what happened last night was a big punch in the face for the Lakers and a standing 8. What it says about the Thunder is pretty much what you said. They're a really good team. They played really well, and they destroyed the credibility of the Lakers. But, and this is a very big but, it is not the Lakers who are the large object in their rearview mirror. No, it's not.
That's right.
It's the Spurs
Good point, Tony.
who are the large object in their rearview mirror.
Yeah.
And the Thunder's, I think, 14-1 or 15-1 since March 1st. But the Spurs are 28-2, something like that, since February 1st. And the Spurs have beaten them 4 out of 5. So this game, Mike, this game does not affect that at all.
It does not. Tony, 2 good points you made. That one and the first one. These declarations have to be temporary. You and I have covered enough, like 100 total seasons of NBA between us, and we know what happens next week can reverse what happened this week. But that's on the Lakers. Right. That's now on the Lakers. It's your serve. What are you going to do? The Masters begins next week, and it will be without 2 of the golfers who have defined it and the sport for decades. 5-time winner Tiger Woods is seeking treatment following his arrest on suspicion of driving while under the influence, and 3-time champ Phil Mickelson withdrew yesterday, saying that he'll be away from the sport for an extended period to, quote, allow his family to navigate a personal health matter, close quote. Tone, the first Masters without Tiger and Phil since 1994. Has you feeling how?
It has me feeling sad. Of course it has me feeling sad, because one of the players who's not going to compete in the Masters is apparently under the influence of a drug problem. And one of the players who's not going to play in the Masters is apparently under the influence of a family health matter. So these are not injuries. These have nothing to do with golf. That's what makes me sad here, the extent to which these people have to change their lives. It also feels sort of like the end of an era. But again, let me not be too hasty about that, because in 2019, when Tiger couldn't play and nobody had seen him, he came back and won the Masters in his 40s. And Phil Mickelson, a couple of years ago, when he was 52, finished second in the Masters. So I don't want to write him off. I don't want to write him off completely. I don't want to do that, though. I don't know how competitive they'll be. But I do want to say this, okay? These people, these two, are the most important golfers in the last 30 years. Tiger has 5 green jackets. Only Jack Nicklaus has more. Phil has 3 green jackets. Only Tiger and Jack and Arnold Palmer have more. They got 8 between them, Mike. And if you look at people ranked number 1 for long periods of time in the last 10 to 15 years, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, who else am I leaving out? Scotty Scheffler, and come on, I wrote it down. All right, it doesn't matter. I'll get to it at some other point. They've got 6 among them. Jordan Spieth. They've got 6 among them. These guys have 8. I mean, their dominance is so important.
It is. And I feel 2 ways about it. I wonder about this because basketball has it coming. There's going to be some postseason that doesn't include LeBron and Steph, or LeBron and KD and Steph. And the sport has to go on. They do. They have to go on. And so the golf is in that place right now with Tiger and Phil. And there's a sadness first. My first response is these guys not being there for these specific reasons. It just sort of casts a pall initially.
Yes.
But, Tony, even if they come back and they're competitive once each, one time more, or something like that, which we both would wildly applaud, they're capable guys out there. You mentioned Scotty Scheffler. Golf seems to be in as good a hands as the sport could be competitively without those guys, as good as it can be right now.
Yes and no, because they were also not only the greatest players, they were the most popular players. Everybody loved them. Scotty Scheffler is number 1. He is not beloved. Not like these guys.
No.
Maybe he will be in time.
They got to
He's
work
not
on
like
it.
these
Long
guys.
way to go.
Yeah, let's get to the college basketball being played tonight and being played right near where you are right now in Arizona. Phoenix is hosting the women's Final Four. I'm sure, Mike, somebody would send a car for you if you want to go. All 4 number 1 seeds have reached this point. UConn will play South Carolina in the early game. UCLA will play Texas in the late game. Wilbon, does UConn or UCLA face the tougher test?
This isn't close. And yes, I will be here not going to the games today, but certainly planning to be at Sunday's national championship final. This isn't close. Texas, the current Texas regime, doesn't have any national championships. Do they? The answer is no. So UCLA is playing a team that, yes, it lost to earlier this season, so they sort of have the revenge factor going for them. But no, UConn is playing a worthy current champion, a champion once removed, a school and a coaching staff, Dawn Staley, with 3 national championships, and that would be 2 more than Geno and UConn since 2017. So this ain't close. South Carolina got their clocks cleaned. Who said that years ago? And a year ago by UConn, they were down by 100. Right. They lost by like 23. Talk about revenge motive. South Carolina, Tony, I will take South Carolina right now to win the first game tonight. Not cover and all your get a bookie DraftKings junk. To win the game, South Carolina to beat UConn tonight. That's what I'm taking. So that question is an easy answer.
Yeah, so I'm going the other way on that. If you had asked me to write a bracket 3 weeks ago when this began, I would have put UConn in the final game and I would have put them in ink, because they've now won 54 straight games and they're beating people by 1 million. I will give you this. South Carolina has won this thing recently. Okay, not years and years ago, 2022 and 2024. Forget 2017. Like, this is not a long time ago. They've done that, and they do have Dawn Staley, who's got 3. And so they have to be given a chance, a good chance. But I look at what happened last year in the final. That was 23 points. That's significant to me. That I will say this, Mike. I think that Texas has great wins this year. They beat UCLA, they beat South Carolina twice.
They do.
Texas may actually be underrated at the moment. And I think Texas can beat or should beat UCLA, but I will, unlike you, I will be less surprised if UCLA wins that game than if UConn loses. That would be, for me, the biggest surprise. So we differ on this. Let's take a break. But coming up, we will ask Jay Billis who he favors in tomorrow's men's games.
We'll also ask him what Tommy Lloyd staying in Arizona means for UNC's head coaching search. How's that historical note going for you with UNC?
We're about 24 hours from tip-off of the men's Final Four, which makes it a perfect time for a visit from our great friend, the ever-dashing ESPN college basketball analyst Jay Billis in Indianapolis, outdoors at the moment. Let's start with this. The early game tomorrow is 3-seed Illinois against 2-seed UConn. Illinois is a slight light favorite. Is that how you see this game?
I actually have UConn as a slight favorite in the game. These two teams played earlier in the year in late November. I don't think that game really matters because Illinois point guard Keaton Wagler, a freshman, didn't have ball handling responsibilities in that game. Kylan Boswell was handling the ball more often. He had 25 in that game. But I think that game's kind of irrelevant with regard to this because both the teams are substantially different. But Illinois poses UConn some interesting issues because they're excellent offensively. And what Illinois does really well is they hunt out matchups. They'll hunt out the weakest defender, and they do a great job with ball screen angles so they can get a switch and then attack the switch that they get. They did that very effectively in the second half against Iowa in order to get here. But UConn runs such beautiful offense, and Terrace Reed Jr. is going to be their biggest problem because of his size. I mean, he's averaging close to 23 points a game in the tournament and 13.5 rebounds. But Alex Karaban, I think, is a key on both ends of the floor. And if UConn were to win the championship this year, Alex Karaban will have 3 championships in his career. That would make him the only non-UCLA player in history to have 3 national championships.
Wow.
That's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. We'll stay on UConn for a second, Jay. And the word demonstrative certainly seems fair when describing Dan Hurley, who you know pretty well. Last week he had the forehead taps with officials, being the latest incident. You know him well. You've known him for a long time. Give us just your sense of Dan Hurley, just sort of the picture of who he is and how he is in a situation like this.
I love Dan Hurley. You guys know, I mean, he's from a family of basketball royalty with Bob Hurley Sr. in the Hall of Fame and Bobby Hurley, arguably the best point guard to ever play college basketball. But Dan is unique, and he's old school in the way he coaches. He's new school in the system he uses. It's like watching a European pro team out there, very creative, especially offensively. But he's really quirky. Like, he's a high-character person and coach that is a character. And, back in the day, in the 80s, 70s, we had a bunch of characters. We don't have as many now. It's more corporate. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry now. But Dan is really quirky. He wears the Superman underwear and the socks, and he's really superstitious, and he burns incense on the floor before games and puts garlic under the stands and all that stuff. I can't imagine that helps, but if he thinks it helps, that's great. But I love having a character like Dan in the game.
Jay, the second game, Michigan and Arizona seems just irresistible. One of the irresistible matchups in recent years to me. How do you separate the two?
The one separator, Michael, that I think could be there is the free throw line. Arizona is a pounded inside team. They play inside out. They make threes, but they don't take a lot of them. They shoot a really good percentage, like 38% as a team from three, and Braden Burry is an outstanding three-point shooter. He's their best shooter and top scorer. But they like to pound the ball inside, and as a result, they get to the free throw line a lot. Arizona has made more free throws than their opponents have attempted. In fact, they've made 100 more than their opponents have even shot. So that means if their opponents have made 100% of their free throws, Arizona's outscored their opponents by 100. And so Michigan being able to play really good defense and be physical without fouling is going to be important. And Michigan is a really good interior defensive team. Adai Mara is one of the best shot blockers in the country. They've got size and bulk as well. So that's going to be a key, is who wins the battle of the paint. And then the glass is going to be important. And when you've got to send everybody to the defensive glass, that can affect your transition as well because it pulls everybody in, so it makes it a little bit tougher to run.
Let me get you out of here on this, and it's news today. Arizona coach Tommy Lloyd is going to stay out west with Arizona rather than leave for the North Carolina job. What does this mean for Arizona, and where does this leave the Tar Heels?
Well, it's more of the same in the college basketball industry. Anytime there's a coveted job open like North Carolina, and North Carolina happens to be the program now, they wind up making coaches a heck of a lot of money because the schools they feel insecure that their coach may leave, so they sign them to extensions. The coaches can get more money for the program, for their staffs, all that stuff. And I thought Tommy Lloyd handled it beautifully. And Dusty May, the same thing. I always thought that Skip Prosser, the late, great Skip Prosser, when he was at Wake Forest, had the best answer. When anybody asked him about a job opening, he would say, I don't talk about my job status. It ended all the discussion, but you could still make people feel a little insecure because when coaches have leverage, they have to use it. When they're not winning, the school is the one that has leverage, and they're the ones that are insecure. When they have leverage, they have to use it, and I think Tommy Lloyd did a great job of using it. But North Carolina just pushes them a little further out, and they could wind up going to options that are further down the line. But they're having to wait now. They got to wait. Maybe if they're after Billy Donovan, they got to wait till the NBA season ends. If they're after Dusty May, they got to wait till this ends. And Dusty May has taken the Skip Prosser line, and I think he's been really smart in doing that.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Thanks,
Enjoy
Jay.
the
Appreciate
Final Four.
Thank you. Great being with you.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, did Cam Boozer deserve to win the AP Player of the Year?
And LeBron says the NBA should move out of Memphis? Really? Billy Donovan's season's going to be over in about 12 minutes. They ain't got to wait long for Billy Donovan. They should just declare their...
Happy time, people. Happy 24th birthday to The Miz. The full name of the young Brewers ace is Jacob Mizorowski, but calling him The Miz keeps us from having to spell it in scripts. Also enables Wilbon to chant it repeatedly throughout the season. And he's already had reason to do so. The Brewers have won both of The Miz's early starts, and he struck out 18 batters across 11 innings. Wow. His fastball touched 101.1 in Wednesday's win over the Rays. It seems like every year we wait for the Brewers to fall apart, and they never do. This appeared to be a rebuilding year, but once again they're atop the NL Central with a record of 5-1.
Tony, they may skip right over rebuilding indeed, but beating the White Sox 3 times to start the season, the White Sox should be relegated. They may be worse than they were a couple of years ago, so I don't know what that means for the Brewers just yet.
Happy anniversary, Michigan. On this day 37 years ago, the Wolverines won the national championship in overtime, beating Seton Hall when Ramil Robinson stepped to the line and hit 2 free throws with 3 seconds left. Glenn Rice had 31 in that title game and 184 for the tournament, a record that still stands. The Wolverines were coached by Steve Fisher, who got elevated to the job just hours before the tournament, when Bill Frieder announced he'd agreed to leave for Arizona State after the tournament, and A.D. Bo Schembechler fired him, saying he wanted a Michigan man coaching Michigan.
I'm with my man Jalen Rose when he says to the current Michigan players, love you guys, but don't get carried away yet talking about greatest team ever, because these guys won. Not just Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson, Terry Mills, Lloyd Vaught, and the next Michigan team, Jalen's own Fab Five. They got further. So, Michigan's got these Michigan kids. They're great. They got some work left.
Happy trails to last night's start for Carter Jensen. The Royals removed their rookie catcher from the starting lineup before last night's game against the Twins because he overslept and showed up to the ballpark too late to adequately prepare. Salvador Perez, who'd been planning to DH, caught the game instead. Jensen did eventually enter the game in the 9th and told the Kansas City Star afterward, quote, I didn't wake up to my alarm, slept through it. Don't really have an excuse, nor should I. Sucks. It happens. I feel like I let teammates down, coaches down. Just know it won't happen again, unquote. The 22-year-old was aware of his awakening challenge back in the spring when he told the Royals social media team that he needs 6 to 8 alarms to wake up.
We've all overslept. I still have nightmares about oversleeping my last final exam in college. Come on, stop. We've all done it. The apology should be sufficient.
One omission, promising Cubs starter Cade Horton left today's game against the Guardians in the second inning with right forearm discomfort. Your reaction? That's it? That's your reaction?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the big finish. Victor Wembanyama sat out of the Spurs win over the Clippers due to injury management of his right ankle. You okay with that?
Yeah, I think he's getting ready for this run. He can't miss 3 more games and be eligible for the postseason stuff, but I think he'll be fine. Cam Boozer won the AP Player of the Year. Fred Hoiberg won Coach of the Year. Those make sense to you?
Yeah, they're both worthy. They were fine. Nebraska was more than fine. LeBron told Bob Does Sports that the NBA should ditch Memphis for Nashville, adding that if the Grizzlies had drafted him, he might have pulled an Eli. Your thoughts?
That seems particularly mean and beneath LeBron to go after Memphis like that. That just sounds out of character for him to me. A Virginia judge ruled against UVA quarterback Chandler Morris playing a 7th college season. 7. Makes sense?
Good. I mean, how long are you supposed to stay in college? Come on. Come on. Last one, 19-year-old Pirates rookie Connor Griffin had an RBI double in his first major league at bat. Your reaction?
My God, the Pirates and the Brewers in our division keep stockpiling talent. We can't lose Cade Horton, please. Hope this is temporary.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time.